Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. You know, one thing I think most of us can agree on in the gun community is that when you're carrying a gun, you bear the weight of extra responsibility. You have to be a responsible citizen, even more so when you're carrying than when you're not carrying. You have to be someone who is not only going to start trouble, but you have to be someone who's going to actively try to avoid it if possible. You can't go looking for it, surely. That's just something we all understand. Now, a lot of people, though, think this means you got to be a coward when you're carrying a gun. Like if someone says something to you, you got to run away. Or if someone tries to attack you, if you can run away, you got to run away. If someone's outside your house stealing your car, you can't go confront them because you're armed. That's not what it means at all. What it means is you should never be the aggressor. It doesn't mean you have to be a victim simply because you're carrying a gun. First off, before we go any further here, remember, when I give you advice on how to behave when you're carrying a gun, it's just advice. And there's two things you got to remember. One is, who the hell do I think I am to give you advice? And two, even if it's good advice, that doesn't mean you're always going to be able to live up to it. Definitely doesn't mean I'm always going to be able to live up to it. I got a bad temper if someone threatens my family or my animals. So I know I'll make bad decisions sometime, but hopefully I know, and hopefully you know, that even if you get yourself into situations where fists might fly, you're still a responsible enough person that your gun is not going to be your first option. The rule of thumb I like to live by, and I've told people this 100 times on this channel, is remember to never do anything while you're armed that you wouldn't do if you were unarmed. That don't get yourself in any situation just because you're carrying a gun and it's giving you extra confidence that you wouldn't find yourself in if you weren't carrying that gun. That's a nice, simple, easy rule to remember. And that's what it basically comes down to. It doesn't mean you have to be, like I said, a coward or a victim. It does mean you should be responsible. You should be an adult. If you're walking down the road and some homeless person starts screaming things at you or your partner or whatever, you don't go over and start causing a fuss. You just keep walking. If you're walking down the sidewalk and you see some questionable events, in front of you that you probably don't want to be a part of, cross the street. Simple things like that. But if you look outside your window and someone's trespassing on your property or stealing your car, that doesn't mean you can't go out and try to stop them. If you would try to stop them unarmed, do it. You don't have to be a victim just because you have an advantage. That's like saying if I'm bigger and stronger than someone, I can't ever, do anything if they're attacking me because I've got an advantage. No, that's stupid. Same thing with the whole idea that you got to be a coward or a victim just because you're carrying. Like I said, just don't do anything you wouldn't do if you weren't carrying. And in circumstances like if someone was in my yard trying to steal my car, I would definitely go out there and stop them. If they're trespassing on my property, I'd go out and find out what's going on. If I hear a noise at night, I'm going to go out and see what it is. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm armed. And if I go out there, it might be somebody and they might try to hurt me and I might have to shoot them. No, I don't do that. That's stupid. Hell, I don't even always make good decisions, much less, decisions that are still rational. But actually kind of, good. I make bad decisions sometimes. I don't think that sentence made sense, but you know what I'm trying to say. I don't always make the right decision, but in those cases, I do think that is a right decision. I don't think that's a problem. Now, people will say though, but what if you go out to stop that guy from breaking into your car and he pulls out a sharpened screwdriver and tries to stab you? I'm like, well, then I'll shoot him. But here's the thing. I didn't escalate that situation to that level. The person who decided to try to kill me escalated it to that level. I just went out and responded to someone trying to steal my car, which is my right to do as a citizen. Hell, it's my right in the state of Washington, mutual combat state, I can get into a fist fight with someone. And if I choose to do that, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with you do it. If you would do it unarmed, I don't have a problem with you doing it armed. As long as you don't think that the gun is the reason I can do this, and this is what I'm going to resort to. Because when you start thinking like that, you resort to it too quickly. Like these people we've seen in the news that shoot at people ringing their doorbells or playing hide and seek or ding dong ditch or whatever. That's not reasonable. That's not responsible. But I don't care what you engage in as long as you don't misuse your firearm. Just simply having it on you doesn't mean you have to be a coward. It shouldn't make you braver than you normally are. If it makes you braver than you normally are, you should rethink some things. It should make you feel more comfortable that you know that if things get bad, you have a way of handling it. But don't make yourself feel like you're braver because you carry your gun. That's when you'll start making bad decisions. I make enough bad decisions without a gun. Like I said, I got a temper if someone threatens my family or my dog or whatever. So keep that in mind. And sometimes I think you have kind of responsibility to not be a coward or just run away. And I'm not coward. I'm using that as an explosive term, an incendiary term, because, it doesn't mean you're a coward if you do the right thing and you avoid conflict. Some people just don't want to do that. Don't want to hurt somebody. I know people that are big and strong who don't get in fights, let people badmouth them because they're like, if we get in a fight, I'm going to hurt them. And I can totally respect that. But let's say someone jumps out of the bushes and tries to hit you with a lead pipe and you're like, dodge them and they're not fast enough to catch you and you can run away. Does that mean, well, I'm carrying a gun, so I just have to run away and I'll call the police? Well, no, police are going to take forever to respond, even if they do respond. And what happens if 5 minutes later that person, and you didn't stop them, jumps back out and bashes some old lady's head in with a pipe? How you going to feel about that? Probably not great. So I don't have any problem with reacting to threats. If someone is being a threat to other people or you, react. And if that means punching them in the face, punch them in the face. You didn't shoot nobody if you just punch them in the face. Now, if they try to punch you in the face and then you punch them in the face and then they punch you again and they get you on the ground and then they go start to try to kick you and you pull your gun, that's different. Now your life's in danger. They've escalated it to a point that your life's in danger. If they didn't want to hurt you, once you went down, they'd run away. If they were just trying to do a crime of profit, so it's all about levels and it's all about understanding. Just don't be braver than you would be without that gun, with the gun, because that will lead to you making bad decisions with that gun. Every day, people that are armed get in conflict with each other, verbal, physical, etc., and don't shoot each other because most people don't want to shoot nobody. And that's fine. But like I said, sometimes you have to act because someone else escalates something. Other times you just have every right to intervene. Like if someone's trying to steal your car or trespassing on your property, you don't have to become a pansy because, I got a gun so I can't intervene. Of course you can. Doesn't mean you can't ever, like I said, get in a physical altercation with someone. Someone comes and shoves you, shove them back. I got no problem with that. Just don't, someone shoves you and you automatically pull your gun, shoot them, well then you're the bad guy. Because you responded with, far excessive force to what was warranted. In my opinion, you can meet force with slightly greater force, but you don't meet force with completely over the top 10 steps later force. That's when it's a problem. But like I was saying, when you're carrying a gun, you do have added responsibility. You do have to make different decisions. You might have to turn the other cheek a little more often. But it doesn't mean you have to stand by and be a pansy. Doesn't mean you have to stand by and be a victim. Doesn't mean you have to run away and let people continue to do the bad things they're doing to other people. It just means that you keep a level head. You meet force with adequate and slightly greater force, if possible. And if another person continues to escalate it to where a gun is necessary, well, then you got it. But it should never be your first choice. And if you allow your gun to make you brave, and you wouldn't be brave without it, then you're making bad decisions. But like I said, remember, I'm not someone to give you I can give you great advice if you want. That doesn't mean I can live up to it or you can live up to it. You can't always live up to it. You can't always avoid trouble because sometimes you don't have to look for trouble. Sometimes trouble finds you. And just because you're armed doesn't mean you necessarily have to run from that trouble because sometimes it's your obligation to take care of it right there and then.